You're watching OffBeat Business TV, brought to you from the Trade Group showroom floor in Carrollton, Texas. Have an awesome event every time. Schedule your consultation at tradegroup.com.
You're listening to the OffBeat Business Show, rebuilding American business influence locally, nationally, and abroad, bringing you experienced insight for a strong, influential brand and successful life in business. Here's your host, Susan Hamilton.
Well, hello there. You're watching OffBeat Business TV or listening to the OffBeat Business Show podcast or radio on the OBBM network. Today I'm talking with Brenda Wakefield, one of our OBA members and a United States Air Force veteran, bringing really wise health care to the market at a time when we couldn't be under more stress.
Right. It's one of those times where people are so busy with life.
Yes.
And so much is going on that people tend to put themselves on the back burner, and there's consequences for that. But yet, and still, we want to feel good. But how do we get there?
And it's more than that, you know. We want to feel good, but we really want to be good at what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And there's an incredible amount of focus. Today is fast-paced.
Right.
We've got to be able to wear a lot of hats and get a lot of things done, and not feel like we're going to pass out at the very end of the day.
Right. Even though they do pass out.
I mean, right.
But there are so many other additives besides just the stress of work that's upon us, or family life, just so many things that are going on, that there's one that I have been throwing and educating people on, I should say, and bringing awareness over the past year and a half, which is huge, is what the wireless technology is doing to the body and how it is exacerbating symptoms that we're looking for a remedy for, and we don't know where to look. And I've had clients that have gone to the doctor and they're trying to figure out what's going on with them. And the question I usually bring to them is, how's your wireless world? And they, that gives them pause to go, what do you mean?
How is your wireless world, right?
Right, it is. And unfortunately, the human body wasn't made to sustain the frequency that comes at us from wireless technology. So there's things that's going on with it, and I've seen clients that are suffering with different symptoms and conditions, but the good thing is there's a solution.
Well, that's fabulous, and you're preaching to the choir here, because our market is local family business. And the local family business, when we really look at that, that's 80 to 85% are family-owned businesses of 9 employees or less, building their business while they're raising their kids, taking care of their parents at the same time, probably have active duty or a veteran in their family or workspace, EMT or law enforcement officer, or have an addict, or about 30 to 50% here in the Dallas County have an addict in their family or workspace. That's a huge number. It is. And if you're running a business and you're juggling all of those things, how on earth do you manage that well so you can get up and keep going and do a great job? Because we're communicating so many ways, right? We're through our staff, through our administration, and then also to the customer and to the client. And that takes a lot of wheel changing, a lot of gear shifting. So how do you do that without electromagnetic frequency? I'm just not sure that can happen.
No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because everyone is exposed. No one is immune. It's there 24/7. Just the frequency itself, for me to call you and you to call me, there's that frequency that's there and that connection that happened. But what I bring to people is, okay, that phone that you have, it is severely compromising your immune system. It has been linked to cancer. World Health Organization has classified it as a known carcinogen, as a 2B carcinogen. No, I
didn't know that, but tell me about that Facebook post that's going around real quick about the wires, steel wool around an iPhone. Is there any truth to that? What do you think about that?
I always try to, I haven't tested that myself. Okay. Yeah, I've seen it, but understand that the smaller the brain, the more radiation that our children are getting. And yes, there is true truth to the fact that the frequency that is coming from or going to the phone, coming from the phone that we are exposed to, I do what's called a muscle testing. And the muscle testing is pretty simple, and you put your arm out and people say, oh, that's hocus pocus stuff. But it's like, no, that frequency truly impacts the body, and it does weaken the body. So I don't know about that steel wool thing. I've seen it, but there could be some truth to it, and it could not be. But I know for a fact when I muscle test people, and I've muscle test some very, even athletes.
I know you have a really interesting client base.
So it's just, they are blown away when it's just like, okay, you were pulling harder. It's like, no, you put this device in your hand, which is receiving connectivity from the wireless world, and that frequency, the contact, it weakens your body. I tell people, have you read the legal agreement that comes with your phone? Yeah. Because the telecommunication is protecting themselves. Because if something were to happen, or you got cancer, or you got a condition, you say, well, it was my phone that did it to me. They tell you right there, don't put the phone 5 millimeters close to your body, because the testing that they're doing is not like this, but that's the average person when they're talking on the phone. Instead of putting the phone on speaker, we're putting these phones here.
Now, I prefer speaker for myself, and I have a mother who really was, she's continually reminding us, get the phone away from your head. And so I'm really blessed with that. She's wonderful. But it's funny, since she started talking about it, not even sleeping next to your phone.
Oh, absolutely not.
We're so connected. And it's interesting because you taught me years ago how we are energy, and energy, the way it moves through our body is really important to recognize that.
Correct.
So when we're exposed to that and we don't understand how it's impacting us, and we just take it for granted.
We do, because we don't see it, we don't taste it, we don't think we're feeling it, and even though it's invisible to the naked eye, the exposure that is happening, that we are feeling. My husband, even yesterday, he was blown away. I was surprised that he said it to me. He had just heard something. He says, I just read something, and they say that the sperm count is 50% lower. And then I had a client I was speaking to doing a one-on-one yesterday, and she goes, her daughter's trying to get pregnant, but smart house, you got every device there is in this house, and it's great that I can lock my doors. I walked away from home and I forgot to lock my doors. I'm like, I can just push the button and now my door is locked. Well, that's still a frequency. And funny, I had one of my goddaughters over Sunday, and her little 8-year-old girl, she even recognized, because of the protection that I have in my home, she goes, Miss Brenda, I just really love your house. I am so comfortable here. It just feels so good. I said, wow, a kid recognized that the difference that can be felt inside a home when you change that frequency by a simple device that helps the frequency to change and less impact on your body, giving that body a friendly frequency. Because the negative impact that happens, there are so many things connected to it that, like I say, we're looking for a solution of over-the-counter, or you want some medication to deal with the problem. And the problem, part of the problem, I should say, part of the problem is the fact of we have not connected that. This is a toxic environment that we live in, man-made, for convenience. So this convenience is creating problems that people have not yet gotten into their head that, oh, my phone is bad for me. It's really difficult for me to go out, because it's just like you see the phones in the pocket, and you see the phones next to the head, and you see the...
And I noticed them driving down the road, and we're not supposed to be doing it. We all know better, but when my husband's driving and I'm paying attention and I'm looking out the window, I make it a point to kind of pay attention, to count. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Every one is that. Not only is that a distraction, but if what you're saying is true, and I believe you're onto something there. It's not the first time I've heard about that, because I've employed things over my lifetime in using alternative health for myself and my family. Things like magnets, right? Nicon magnets was a big thing for me a long time ago in helping recover. I raised boys. They were getting bruised, football and running and falling off their bikes. And countless times we would use magnet therapy. So I get that there's energy going on there.
Right.
I get that those things are happening to us. But now that I'm this much older and I'm seeing that age group, we've also got depression, anxiety, and all of those other pieces now that we kind of are not really making the connection to. Those are negative energies, baby. Those are negative energies.
Right, and the body the body is not made to sustain the microwave frequency. And then you think, I say, when you look at the microwave frequency and then you look at the frequency within the body, and I tell people, think of an EKG. It's erratic in the human body. So when you have these two frequencies colliding, the human body's going like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. How am I supposed to process this? And things are happening within the body that we aren't putting our fingers on. The research is there to support that, yes, there is something happening. There's plenty of research that's out there. The U.S. is a little behind. Other countries are way ahead of us in doing this research when it comes to this information, or they just don't want to tell us whatever way it want to go. But whatever. But for what I have seen over time, and I've been really more investigative of this information over the past year and a half because of what was introduced to me at that time. And I was just blown away when it was shown to me how it's impacting the body, and it's very near and dear to me because of my own structure issue that I have. I have scoliosis. And so because of that and the constant tension that's on my body, without this protection, I hurt like the dickens. It hurts.
Well, and that's interesting because you've had such an interesting history, if we can talk about that. I mean, you are an Air Force veteran. I mean, you've put in a lot of time, and then after that, you worked at a hospital.
No, after that, then I worked as an education counselor. I took government job, and a couple of times, and I worked as an education counselor. I've worked as a director of financial aid at a junior college, and then that entrepreneurial bug hit me.
And I somehow caught, back in the early days of our conversations, what hung on to me is that idea that I'm an administrative, I'm on the phone.
Yes.
I'm dealing with, that's the lifestyle, you're not moving anymore. Right?
And it was, in the Air Force I did finance, so I still had a pretty sedentary job.
Did you? Okay.
And then I was a military drill instructor, which people
See,
go
that's what I remembered. That's what I remembered.
So that part of it, of course, that was constant movement doing that. Right. But once that was over and I still went back into the financial world, it was still sedentary. But what people always wonder, how did you go from being in the military to coming into the holistic world? And it was, my mother had gotten sick. My mother was a cosmetologist for 35 years. And her health changed 35 years after being into this industry. And it basically took her out. My mom was very lively and vibrant. And when her health started to deteriorate, it was her respiratory system. Go figure, cosmetology. And so her health started to deteriorate. And along that path, the few years that happened after that, as I stepped into the entrepreneurial world, my first one was environmental. It was air purifiers. And I was like, man, had I known this then, I could have helped my mom, because indoor air is 50% more polluted than outside air.
Right.
And as we know with products, everything is not created equal. And the product that I was introduced to, it was, and it still is, phenomenal because I still use it to this day.
I love hearing about this. I think this is really fascinating. We're going to take a short break and hear from a few of our sponsors. And when we get back, we are going to hear more from Brenda Wakefield. I hope you're enjoying this conversation as much as I am. We'll be right back.
The American business economy is positioned as it has never been before. Professional videography is a core element for attracting a higher level of engagement with the people group you need for significant impact. Now is your time to shine. My name is Bill Brock, owner of White Rock Films, and I invite you to a powerful opportunity in the marketplace, an opportunity to draw excited people to your events, an opportunity to showcase your ideas on infrastructure, an opportunity to become known as the industry authority and enjoy the associated benefits of a strong, influential brand. Video highlights, video teaches. Video puts a resistant market at ease, and video stirs the hearts and imaginations of your allies and strategic client base. White Rock Films offers full audio, video production for businesses ready to embrace the future, handling your project with professionalism, experience, and polish unheard of in the industry. My name is Bill Brock, and White Rock Films wants your business. See us online at whiterockfilms.com.
And we're back. You are watching OffBeat Business TV or listening to the OffBeat Business Show on the OBBM Network podcast. I'm talking with Brenda Wakefield, and we're talking about some alternative healthcare solutions that might be really, really interesting to you, local family business, because we're dealing with a little bit of stress, and we're dealing with a little bit of, hey, I'm taking care of the young people in my family, the teenagers in my family, the parents in my family, and trying to juggle a business and train a staff and teach our customers and clients how we're their best value. We couldn't be more busy.
No, but if we knew how to take care of ourselves, if we put ourselves as a priority, I say be the MVP. You are your own MVP, and no one can fix that but yourself. And you start with, what can I do to feel better? Well, I tell you, stop, look in the mirror, and take an assessment of yourself. First of all, how do you feel? How do you feel? We look good on the outside. We look good today. We got it going on. But physically, when you stop and think about sitting here, how do you feel on the inside?
Well,
I feel great. You know,
Well,
it's like...
You know, and you do, because when I look at your skin and you just glow, and I always think you're just the picture of health. But go into that a minute, Brenda. What do you mean, how do I feel? What types of questions and what should I be looking at when I'm really looking at it introspectively? Because at the end of the day, it might be time for a glass of wine, right? When we're looking for comfort.
Right, when you're looking
Is that really what we need at this stage? I mean, what should I be thinking about when I'm taking that assessment?
Well, I say physically thinking about how you feel. Even when you take your journey from your leaving home and on the drive to work, how are you feeling walking out that door? Is there any pain? Is there any discomfort? And if it is, where is it? And then for some, as they get closer to the workplace, how do you feel? Some people's pain exacerbates. Some people may feel like, oh, well, now I have a headache. And I didn't have a headache before. So what brought that on? What stressors are there that's kicking in? Did you eat before you left? Have you hydrated yourself? You know, are your lips dry? Do you feel that urge for a thirstiness even after drinking water? Water is so critical in the healing of the body, the functioning of the body, and that's neglected a lot of times. I don't have time. I don't like water. Well, I'm going to drink a Coke. I'm going to drink some coffee. We said water.
Now, wait a minute. I need energy. Don't I need coffee? Don't I need that green? Don't I need that chai tea? I always say
move,
that. Or
move.
green tea.
Get some exercise in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple things. I take my clients back to basics. Let's take all this 50,000 diets that's out there and just peel away the things that, instead of going through the drive-through, make yourself some fresh fruit in the morning. Make yourself a green, I don't even want to say the smoothie, but you know, even if it's that, but giving yourself, I say life comes from live food. Energy comes from live food. Energy comes from movement. Hydration. You say you got a headache. Well, did you drink some water? And it's like, what? Yeah, if you're dehydrated, that contributes to that headache that you're feeling. If your lips are dry, how much water did you drink today? Well, I don't want to drink because I got to go to the bathroom. Well, another part people don't understand, and this is going to go back to the frequency, is that the frequency dehydrates the body.
Interesting.
Yes,
so are you
it does.
telling me then in that scenario, Brenda, it's possible that when we are going to car university, right, that we all do. I mean, people that are growing their business tend to be listening to business-centric things on their way home.
Yes.
And or even if it's music to chillax, we are listening to something, and we're now with our smart cars. Are you saying that those things could really be depleting us even so?
Yes, ma'am. And as I say, the research is there to support what I'm saying. You know, you can go to my website and just click on electromagnetic frequency, and it'll take you to a place where you can see the validated and patented information that supports what I'm saying today.
So what do we do? I mean, because I know you're not
protect.
telling us to stop.
No, I'm
using
not
our
telling you
phone.
to stop, because you're not going to stop, and it's not going to
Right,
go
it's
away.
not going to happen.
There are products that are out there that a person can get to change the frequency on the phone. It's not going to block. Even you're not going to block the frequency from going.
Well, that is the first question, isn't it?
Yes. It's like, no, we're not blocking it. What the products are doing, they provide a bio-friendly frequency that the body can handle. And that frequency helps the body to say, take a pause and say, I had lost, and one of them is a pendant. I wear a pendant. And I had lost my pendant. And I went to church and I had it and I got home and it wasn't there. That's a whole nother story, which I don't need to know. But but when I got home, I realized that my pendant was missing, and I was like, because I started to feel this discomfort. And I was like, wow. And for me, I feel this heat. For me, it's a warm sensation. And I was like, oh my gosh, where's my pendant? I lost it at church. It took me 2.5 days to replace it. By the end of those 2.5 days, I was a mess. I was hurting, severely hurting, from my head all the way down to my foot. Because I say the tension that's in my body, because of my curvature, I tend to lean to the left, so you really can't tell. But with that, so it's constant tension on my right side, and it's uncomfortable. So, and then from a car accident in the date was 12, 13, 14, that changed things in my body once again. So the pain that I have because of the physical issues and the structure issues, the frequency is not, my body is not happy with it at all. So when I was able to replace my pendant, I kid you not, Susan, within moments, it was like I just felt this dissipating discomfort was just going away, and I was like, this is my friend.
Well, that sounds too good to be true, number one. And number two, it sounds like, a little crazy, but I've known you for the years, through the years, and I know that what you've done personally for our family. And I'm so honored to be working with you again today, because those things really helped when my husband was recovering from a stroke, when my son was, as a single parent, taking on his children and raising them, and one of them, my oldest granddaughter, had just covered in eczema. I mean, she was having a serious milk allergy, and doctors weren't paying any attention to that. They actually had her on Nutramigen, 45% corn syrup solid. That was the brilliant medical advice to give my granddaughter, instead of getting her off of that milk. And what we brought her to you, and you helped us understand how we could regularly use craniosacral methodologies and help her relax and help her nerves heal.
Right.
And it made such a huge difference. And I know that the things that you've done, I tell people all the time that I was under your care for an entire year, and it was the healthiest year I ever had.
Well, thank you.
And yes, and then you moved just a little farther away, doggone it. So I'm glad you're back.
It's only 30 minutes. It's like,
well, now you're back in my proximity, and you're back on my radar, and I'm excited about that, because 2020 and 2020, this is going to be a fabulous year, and I'm excited about what you're bringing to the marketplace, because we actually can have a healthier life when we're paying attention to these things.
Right.
And so how are people going to be able to access these things that they have? Because this is going everywhere. We focus on the DFW market, but we know there's no limitations with internet media.
No.
So this is going to go as far as that SEO is going to take it. What on earth do people need to know to access the tools that they need so that they can have a healthier family life? Because you've got, when we're talking about electromagnetic frequency, you can actually help people guard their entire home.
Right, the entire home and their body, because people say, well, what should I do first? Because your hydration, as I said, is severely impacted by this, and we need to properly hydrate so the water is absorbed into our system. And the devices that we're using, just by holding that phone, that's still impacting it. So, like I say, going to my website, which is betterhealthbrenda.com, there you click on electromagnetic frequency, and it's going to take you to the information, to the products that are there that is going to help your body, to help you feel better. I had my grandson, when he started wearing his pendant, asked him at the time he was 11, I said, how do you feel? He said, I don't get headaches anymore when I get in the car. And my daughter and I, we both look at each other like, this kid never said anything about headaches, or he might have said he didn't feel good in the car, and we say, well, car sickness, he just doesn't do well.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily tell you all the details of how they feel.
But he was able to articulate. I say he's 11. He was wise enough to say, my head doesn't hurt anymore. He recognized that. The middle child, she was like Nana, this keeps me calm. And it was like, wow, and she really needed to be calming down. Because
Oh, what?
it was to the point, it's like, I really don't want to have my
Oh,
house.
is that going to be a godsend for people to know?
And it's just like, when you take the protective measures, what do? We buy the phone. After we buy the phone, what's the next thing we buy? A cover for the phone to protect the phone, so if the phone drops, it won't break. But we have this toxic device that we're still using, unbeknownst to us, because we're not paying attention to how we feel after we have been using that device. But if you put a simple little device on there, it will change that frequency, so your body is like, okay, I can handle this. And I still don't suggest people putting their phone up to their ear. I suggest putting it on speakerphone. Put the phone down. You don't even have to hold it. And children, the World Health Organization, once again, does not even recommend children under 3 using devices.
No, and I agree with that, but I do see why that's happening.
Right.
Tell me something. Do you have the same feeling about earbuds?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
With the
Okay.
earbuds, and once again, there's the little decal that you can put on there that will change the frequency, but preferably don't put it, because your brain, within 2 minutes of having a conversation that you're using these things, your brain is lighting up like a Christmas tree. And it's not good. Alzheimer's, dementia's on the rise. And then what? The brain uses 80% water too. So if your body's already dehydrated and your body's
What
not
are we
being,
doing? Right? What are we doing?
It's just making the situation even worse.
Well, I'm so grateful that you brought good news to our audience today, because while these things are out there and people, I believe that our market is really waking up to how they can take better care of themselves. So I'm grateful to be able to share those things through our program for people in our community that can really make a difference when it comes to those things. So energy, proactive health care, all of those things can be managed by using these devices and the tools that you have at betterhealthbrenda.com.
Right, and I'm available for lunch and learns. I'm available for
That's
presentations.
right, you do speaking. And
yes, and
you
it's
help
just
people
educating people on the why. We have a great documentary that we share during a presentation to let people have those aha moments and see, like, wow, I didn't know this was out there like that, or I didn't know this is how that was impacting me. And it's like, it's an education waiting for you.
Brenda, thank you so much for being
You're
my
so
guest today. I
welcome.
appreciate that. Friends, if you didn't have a chance to write that down, download the OffBeat Business app and have access to all this information right at your fingertips. And you're going to be able to reach everything that you need to know from Brenda through the OffBeat Business app. Until next time, you've been watching OffBeat Business TV or listening to the OffBeat Business Show on the OBBM Network podcast.
You've been listening to the OffBeat Business Show. Find our lineup, podcast, magazine, event calendar, and sponsor information, even our membership directory, all available on the OffBeat Business app or at offbeatbusiness.com. Download the OffBeat Business app today.